She wins the award for most creative use of Cami Seal.
Yeah.
You are all set, Chairman.
Okay, I call this meeting to order. The Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders, Thursday, April 23rd, 2020, agenda setting meeting. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Certainly. Freeholder Garretson.
Here.
Freeholder Granados.
Here.
Freeholder Hudak.
Here.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Here.
Freeholder Palmeri Muted.
Here.
Freeholder Staton.
Here.
Freeholder Williams.
Here.
Vice Chairman Estrada.
Present.
And Chairman Mirabella.
Present.
Chairman, you have 9 freeholders present.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Please lead us in the prayer and salute to the flag.
Humbly we ask God, the giver of peace and the lover of charity, to give the entire family of nations true agreement with his will and to grant the light of his spirit on all who work for justice and peace.
Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Clerk of the Board, please read the Statement of Compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act.
The chair wishes to announce that pursuant to the requirements of the New Jersey Statutes Annotated, Title 10, Chapter 4, Section 10 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Union has been given by mailing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2020, along with periodic changes necessitated by circumstances, to the newspapers circulating within the County of Union who are designated to receive such notice, and by posting the annual meeting schedule for the year 2020 in the Administration Building, and further by filing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2020 with the Office of the County Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another remote meeting of the Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders. This is our first video conference after a few meetings of just phone conferencing. The Freeholder Board has convened tonight's meeting, agenda meeting and regular meeting remotely in order to observe the strictest precautions for preventing the spread of the COVID-19 virus. As has become our custom, we begin tonight's meeting with a heartfelt thanks to the thousands of Union County residents who are pitching in to help stop the COVID-19 virus any way they can. At a time when other parts of the country are experiencing pockets of disruption, we are seeing our community come together as one, inspiring us in so many different ways. I've always been proud of the Union County family, and never more than in this time of crisis. With that in mind, I'd especially like to thank and recognize the hundreds of residents, volunteers, and businesses that have helped to support the operation of the Union County drive-through testing center at Kane University, the first county setup of its kind. Without question, testing is essential for bringing the COVID-19 outbreak under control. With the help of community support, and the test center has been set up running on a 6-day-a-week schedule. So far, we've performed over 10,500 tests free of charge for Union County residents, as well as first responders and frontline health workers from all over New Jersey. It's impossible to name everyone who've helped out, but some of those who have brought volunteers, food, medical supplies, and other equipment to our testing center are the frontline appreciation groups of Berkeley Heights, Cranford, Scotch Plains, and Summit, Feed the Frontline from Westfield, the Mountainside Girl Scouts, the education associations from Elizabeth and Union, Kemper Sports, Red Knot Restaurant from our own Galloping Hill Golf Course in Kenilworth, the Berkeley Heights PAL, the New Jersey Firemen's Benevolent Association, the Berkeley Heights family up there, PBA numbers 73, 73A, 108 and 108A and 250. We appreciate our PBAs. The Wasusian family, their friends, the Italian American Police Society, just to name a few. I'd like to mention our New Jersey State Senator Joe Cryan and his staff, who have been instrumental in getting the test center into operation and have been working there alongside all our public safety personnel. Special thanks go out to the Union Township Fire Department and representatives of all 21 towns who participated in a display of unity and appreciation for the medical workers at the test center. That was last Friday. It was truly an emotional experience and one none of us will ever forget. This week, we also saw 15 pallets of donated food from Amazon Logistics to make its way to 20 different social services agencies around our county, and they'll begin distributing that food to families in need. I'd like to thank Amazon Logistics for this donation and our partner, the United Way of Greater Union County, and Sheriff Pete Corvelli and his officers who assisted with the distribution. Also Freeholders, Granados, and Garretson, who were instrumental in making this happen. At this time, I'd also like to thank all our mayors from Union County, our county manager, Ed Oatman, our deputy county manager, Amy Wagner, all our directors for keeping us in touch on a daily basis to coordinate the resources and collaboration with the governor's office. Governor Murphy has been terrific. Our United States senators, Booker and Menendez, our state senators, I mentioned Senator Cryan, certainly Senator Scutari and Senator Kane, our assembly members. This is truly a team effort from the municipal level to the county level, to the state level, to the federal level. Once again, I want to thank everyone in Union County who's been keeping to the guidelines for isolation and separation. Day in and day out, your efforts are literally helping save lives, your family's lives, your friends' lives, your neighbors, and strangers alike. We are working through this crisis together. As hard as it has been, we can all be proud of the efforts we've made so far to this point, and we do see signs of progress ahead. So let's redouble our efforts, our commitment to stay the course, to keep encouraging each other in the weeks ahead, and resist the efforts to get out there and open up our county, our municipalities, our state before it's time. We'll take the guidance from our state office and we'll do the right thing. Not like some of these other areas I think that are going a little bit too fast. Finally, I'd like to remind everyone that our test center is open 6 days a week and the testing is free. Union County residents, if you feel you have symptoms of COVID-19, or you can call the test center at 908-214-7107. Just a reminder, everyone needs to have their symptoms assessed by phone before you're scheduled for a test. I also want to remind everyone that the county is continuing to operate essential services during this time, including assistance with food, emergency shelter, family crisis, and mental health. For additional information, please visit the county website at ucnj.org for a list of full resources. Okay, we will look for the approval of communications later at the regular meeting following this meeting. Now I'll start off by asking our county clerk, Joanne Rajapi, to present her resolutions.
Good evening, Freeholders. This evening, we have one resolution to present to you, amending our contract with Royal Printing Services for the additional printing of several sets of envelopes. As you know, with vote by mail, we send out one envelope, then there's a certificate envelope, and then there is an envelope to mail it in. So these are self-sealing envelopes, postage paid envelopes. Due to the COVID-19 virus, we're very concerned with safety and health of our voters. And we increased the number because we suspect more people will be making use of vote by mail this year, especially in the primary.
Okay, very good, Joanne. Thank you. Any questions for the county clerk?
Nope.
This is much easier. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk. Appreciate it. We'll move on to the office of the.
Chairman?
Yeah,
Chairman, this is Jim Pelletieri. Freeholder Hudak, I believe, may have raised his hand in the feature to raise your hand.
okay, sorry.
I'm not certain if he had a question.
Excuse me, Freeholder Hudak. You have a question for the county clerk. You have to come off mute.
Sorry about it. I didn't want to just jump in, Chairman. I thought we were doing the digital hand thing.
I got you. I'll pay attention to you. You're right.
I think also Freeholder Mudad, I think, may have had her Zoom hand raised as well. Good evening, Joanne. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. We did talk a little bit at the budget hearing when we were still having the hearings before COVID, just about what we thought was going to be an expansion. I'm very heartened to see that more people have been taking advantage, and obviously there's a chance that this may ultimately turn out to be an all mail in ballot election. So we're certainly anticipating a cost increase there, and it's very much understandable. And if more people can participate, the better. I guess my question also relates to some things that are maybe not associated with this contract, but could be associated with doing an all mail-in primary. For example, additional staff, even some of the precautions that need to be taken in terms of how the mail is going to be sorted and opened and things like that. Have you had the chance to wade into that at all? Is that something that we would be hearing about you at a future meeting?
Yes, actually, we were preparing for it. It's better to be prepared in a situation like that. I just asked the other day what our population is over 60 in the county, and it's about 20% of our residents are over 60. And of course, we know some of those people have underlying issues. So we have a baseline of 30,000 absentee voters at this point, and in the past 2 weeks, that has gone up close to 33,000. So I can expect, literally, if we don't have an all vote by mail, at least 50,000 voters for the primary. I have made temporary shelter arrangements in my record room because we will not have the space if we have that many ballots going out. We have facilities building us an area which is locked where I can put 7 people with social distancing to do this task, as well as the present office. So we're preparing for the worst case scenario here. We don't want to be caught short.
Yeah, and then I guess also, and I'm sure you've given some of this thought, how those residents who have made it a habit of coming to Westfield, I've done it myself, to fill out the vote by mail the same day. If there's anything that we're going to have to do from a facility standpoint, because we don't want to go against social distancing guidelines while encouraging people to do the vote by mail process in person.
Yeah, we can always limit people that we deal with, but you are absolutely correct, because as you know, you've been there on a Saturday and you know that there could be 75, 100 people at one time, and I don't think we can do that at this point.
Well, thank you, Madam Clerk. I know it's going to be a tough job, but I know you and your staff are up to it. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Freeholder Mudad, did you have a question?
I did, but Joanne, you answered it. I was curious how many new applications have come in the past couple of weeks. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Joanne. Let's move on to our prosecutor. Prosecutor Rotolo.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Thank you very much. The prosecutor's office has 3 resolutions for your consideration this evening, and I'm happy to address any questions.
Okay, very good. I will look at the screen now to see if anybody's raising their hand. So,
Sorry.
any freeholders have questions for the prosecutor?
Nope.
Oh.
Doesn't seem that way. Thank you, Prosecutor Rotolo.
Thank you very much.
We'll move on to the Department of Administrative Services, Director Scutari. There you are.
Yep. Hi. Good evening. The Department of Administrative Services has one resolution on the agenda, and I'll try and answer any of your questions.
Okay, very good. Anything for Director Scutari? All right, Director, thank you. Move on to the Department of Economic Development, Deputy County Manager Wagner. Has two.
Good evening, Freeholders. The Department of Economic Development has two resolutions for your consideration, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Freeholder Hudak, I see your hand up. Freeholder Hudak.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a quick question, Amy, regarding number 2, the amendment for the community development block grant in regard to the additional funding that was provided through the CARES Act. Is there an explanation as to what we're to use the funds for yet, or are we still waiting guidelines as to what the 4.1 million can be utilized for?
With the CDBG funds, there's a pretty well-defined category of things we can spend it on. I have already spoken with the county manager about it, and I think our desire is to have a more comprehensive approach between this money and any other CARES dollars we get, and then we'll decide how we're going to spend it going forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Freeholder Hudak. Freeholder Granados.
Thank you, Chairman. Deputy County Manager Wagner, can you just elaborate on number 1, please, and the costs associated with it for the grant?
Yes, this is a grant being offered by the state of New Jersey. It is a LEAP grant. It will allow us to hire a person to a fellowship position for 1 year to manage shared services. The maximum amount that's available through the grant is $50,000. We have applied, but we have no idea, A, whether we'll get it, or B, whether this might end up getting cut with everything else, but we did go ahead and apply for it.
Thank you, Deputy County Manager. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Freeholder. Vice Chairman Estrada.
Yes, for Amy on number 2, it's not a question per se, but I guess one of the key elements going forward in terms of the impact of COVID-19 to minority communities, I think it is important to also ensure that whatever the plan may be, the action plan includes those communities that have been heavily impacted, as the Afro-American, the Latino community has been in the area. I know that we get numbers from Georgia, we get numbers from Illinois and New Jersey and New York, and there's no doubt that wherever the highest minority communities exist, and also the mere fact that they're in areas which traditionally are hit the worst when it comes to health issues. And I think that the CDBG may be able to help us. So just keep that in perspective.
Yes, Vice Chair, I couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chairman. I don't see any other hands up, so thank you, Deputy County Manager. We will move to the Department of Engineering, Public Works and Facilities, and Director Graziano.
Good evening, Chairman, Freeholders. The department has 5 resolutions on this evening for your consideration. I'll try and answer any questions you have.
Okay, Freeholders, take a look, and I see Freeholder Williams has a question. Freeholder.
Regarding number 4, the locksmith services and locking hardware services, that contract, can you just elaborate on it looks like it's monthly, if we broke it down to about $10,000 a month. Can you just
say,
yeah,
it's actually a 24-month extension.
Right.
The original contract, it's a not to exceed $249,000.
Right.
With the last contract, we only spent $175,000 of the $249,000. I've been watching these contracts. The contract prior to this one, back in 16 to 18, started. It was actually $340,500. So we cut that. We cut that down the last 4 years by $100,000, and we didn't even spend half of this. This is for all the for all of our buildings and stuff. So we really don't know what this is going to be. It actually works out to be it's 900 hours of labor for 2 years is what it works out to be. So it's about 9 hours a week, a little more than 9 hours a week if we need them. And this is also parts. It's not just labor, so it's parts and labor for this.
Okay,
So that's basically the explanation of the contract. It's for all the locks in all of our buildings,
right.
county parks, jails, everything.
Thank you. Thank you, Director.
Okay, thank you, Freeholder Williams. Vice Chairman Estrada.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Joe, on number
Yes, sir.
5, could you go a little bit into it? I mean, I understand that we use the Vermeer compost turner, but have you considered maybe having one of our people in maintenance be trained how to maintain and also repair this type of equipment? I
So
mean, I'm surprised that that we have been spending that much money to maintain that piece of equipment.
So this piece of equipment cost us $520,000 about 5 years ago. We cannot be trained to fix what was this one issue that we had. It's a specialty thing. It's the actual drum of the machine was actually bent. There's a lot of contaminants that come into our quarry that we can't see. So once they're going through these windrows with this big turner, this is the big turner.
Right, I'm aware what it is.
This whole thing has 240 knives on it that goes through it, and you can't see what's in those leaf piles when they come. We can only investigate or inspect the piles so much, but once they're there and they're going through, they'll be hitting concrete blocks, they'll be hitting fence posts and stuff like that. So gradually, over a 5-year period, they bent the actual, they bent the whole drum. We had to take the drum off and ship it out to Vermeer's company to have them repair this for us. So, I mean, over 5 years, it's not that bad as far as that. Any of the regular maintenance we do handle, sir. We do handle the, any of the knives that need to be changed, we could change them. The bolts get torqued on a regular basis. So all that stuff we handle. So whatever we can handle in-house, we do handle. And then we have to send out,
All right, but you're looking at an increase not to exceed of 23,776 for a total of 63,000,
Correct.
right? So is that just in 1 year we're going to spend that kind of money, or?
Yes, this is actually just for this one repair.
This one repair.
To get an estimate, the original, I think if you remember back, I guess about a month or two ago, we had one of these on for about $40,000, somewhere around there, because that's what they told us it was going to be until they saw it. Once they saw the actual drum that we had to ship out there, it actually was a lot worse than we knew about, and then actually than the company knew about. Earlier on, when we first bought the machine, Vermeer handled one of the repairs as well as part of the warranty when we had the machine. So they've been a great partner with us. We've had no problems with it. It's, I mean, it is a very good company, and I mean the machine works wonders when it's working. Again, it's been down for a while, so it is a lot of money for one repair, but it's all well worth it in the end, I believe.
So overall, how much have we spent on this machine in the last 5 years?
Just
this two
that's it.
repairs, right? The initial 40 and this 60.
That's it, yeah.
So overall, I know that we haven't had a report in a long time as to whether this program is really working in terms of, because I know that we do get money back, or we
Yes.
sell the end product that they generate.
Yep.
So we're still in the plus, or?
Yeah, we are. I can get you those numbers maybe by the end of this meeting. If not, I'll have them to you tomorrow.
Anytime.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Just share it with the colleagues so they're aware as
I
well.
will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. I guess just following up on that, Director. So this machine's not getting any younger. And do you anticipate any future repairs along these lines? I mean, how long should this machine, it's only 5 years old, and we put over 10% of the initial cost back into it. I understand things need to get fixed, but what's year 6 through 10 going to look like? I mean, are we just throwing money into this thing, or what?
No, we've actually brought in the company again to make sure that we're doing things the right way from when they originally trained us, to make sure that we are operating it the correct way. And if there's anything different that we need to know, they're gonna let us know. But I feel the next 10 years we should be fine with this thing. I don't think this thing's gonna bend anymore. We're gonna do the best we can up there as far as looking through the piles when they come up, because we do sift through them as much as we can when they get delivered from the townships. We can't, again, we can't know what's in whether it's a 100-yard truck or a 20-yard, garbage truck that's in there. So we will, we will keep an eye on it. Again, it is over 10% of the original cost of the machine, but in the end, I still believe it's still going to be worth it for us.
Okay. Any other questions? I don't see any for Director Graziano, so we will thank him.
Thank you, Chairman.
Move on to Director Taylor, Department of Finance.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. The Department of Finance has 4 resolutions for your consideration this evening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions for the Finance Director? Freeholder Garretson. You're on mute, Freeholder. There you go.
Thank you. Good evening, Director. With the budget coming in, what were some of the areas we were able to save money on considering COVID's come in? And then my part 2 of the question is, have we been able to receive all of our state funding? What's been impacted and what is some of our forecasting given the state budget might come in a little bit later than usual?
Sure, through you, Chairman. Some of the major items of revenue that were impacted from the state dealt with our rehabilitation services for our inmates over at Delaney Hall. The warden has made some adjustments in his staffing levels to bring those inmates in-house and or adjusted his OE budget to keep them over at Delaney Hall. But we are still working with our legislators in order to try and realize that revenue. But in the event that that revenue doesn't come in, our budget does account for it. With regard to some of the areas that we did cut in order to bring this budget in at a 0 increase in the tax levy, I will tell you that this budget, despite while many people tried to take credit for the board's leadership in bringing this levy in at 0, this has been an effort that has been building over a number of years, where we were able to realize a great deal of surplus. And today we are now realizing the benefits of having to utilize that surplus under unthinkable circumstances, but the leadership has been paying off today. But let me answer your question. The reductions are in areas such as parks. We know that many of our parks programming was reduced and eliminated through June 30th. So we've had to cut those areas. We've reduced some of our public works projects that we were also planning on doing, but we had to eliminate this year because of COVID-19. And the county manager, in consultation with the fiscal committee, did also decide to eliminate many vacancies that were in non-essential areas. We are still funding many of the public safety departments, but we looked at the budget line by line in order to realize many of the savings that you see here this evening to bring it to a 0% levy.
Thank you. And you are, and Director, you are correct. Thank you so much for not just the moment of work for the finance savings that we've been able to do, but just the collective effort of really being able to not only think about the legislative impact, what's happening from the governor and the legislators, but also just through the last couple of years, being able to really be fiscally responsible and sound. So I thank you for your response and also just making sure that we're in a strong position today. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Freeholder. Vice Chairman Estrada.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is, Bibi, on the, we have actually, many of these are the caps, the cap banks, which we normally traditionally pass at this time in order to handle any future years changes, correct? Because
that is correct. The 1977 cap, or the COLA as we call it, that is on the agenda this evening for consideration, equates to $6.4 million that we are allowed to automatically have, which is equal to 2.5% over last year's appropriations, plus 2.5 million or an additional 1% over that same appropriation, for a total of $9 million. We are not utilizing that cap at all. We're not utilizing any of the COLA because, in fact, our levy is 0. But this is just a financial planning tool that we're taking advantage of to have in the event that we need it.
okay,
With regard to the other 2 caps, the sheriff's office and the surrogate's office, given many of the impacts on COVID-19, their revenues are adversely impacted. As a result, we need to adopt the cap waiver for those 2 offices. Again, even with the waiver of those caps, the budget is still at a 0% increase on the levy.
Right, no, again, this reason why I brought that up is because that's the cap balance is so critical on a yearly basis. And we just, every year, we have to do this in order to ensure that we protect ourselves for any situation that may cause that to happen. But I want to thank my colleagues also on the hard work, and the chairman, of course, Sergio Granados of the Finance Committee, for, of course, BB Taylor, who is miscut, to make these things happen. So we appreciate it very much, very, very much.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chairman. I think that's it. Director Taylor, thank you. We will move on to the Department of Human Services, Director Anderson.
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. The Department of Human Services has 6 resolutions on tonight, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, any questions for Director Anderson? Yes, I see Freeholder Granados. Freeholder.
Thank you, Chairman. Just want to make mention in reference to number 4 and number 5. I see that you, Director, along with your staff, are including new motels to be able to help out with residents that are facing hard times during this COVID-19. So I just want to thank you guys for your leadership in finding new locations where people can go to for staying and sleeping throughout these tough times that people are facing through the economic times and through these health-related times. So thank you for that.
Not a problem. Our pleasure.
Thank you,
Freeholder Granados, thank you. Freeholder Williams.
Yes, Director Anderson, just a quick question relating to number 4 and number 5 in terms of increasing the number of beds and spaces for homeless people. Are you know, what percentage, can you give us a rough estimate of what percentage increase your department has seen since, I guess, mid-March?
So across the county, there is a 20% increase on homeless individuals that have been calling social services and will need of motels. The closer motels and hotels in Elizabeth, for example, is pretty much filled to capacity.
Right.
So the reason why we're adding more, we're going into Linden and other communities to address the need.
Thank you very much. 20% is a tremendous amount, and I'm really glad that you all are ahead of this particular curve. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Freeholder Williams. I don't see anyone else, so I'll thank Director Anderson. Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Move on to County Council. County Council Barry.
See, start my video. Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, freeholders. The Office of the County Council has one item on tonight's agenda, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions for the County Council? Freeholder Hudak.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, County Council. I just wanted to ask for just a brief explanation on this. Just what it looks, we're bringing this firm along to assist us with the CARES Act funding we've received.
Correct.
And I mean, I guess our initial conversations with the county manager, it seems that, you know, what we can use some of the funding for is a bit undefined at the moment.
Yeah, well, the legislation itself is probably, I believe it's somewhere between 600 to 800 pages. From a federal regulatory standpoint, it's an enormous project, and try and get your hands around that. So that's exactly why I've recommended that we hire this firm in order to be able to ensure that we recover each and every penny that we're entitled to under the Act.
And conversely, if we spend the money inappropriately or in a manner that's not consistent with the Act, you know, the county could be on the hook for reimbursing the federal government.
We're absolutely required to comply with the regulations.
So this is a good expenditure. It makes sense. Thank you, County Council. Thank you, Chairman.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Garretson.
Thank you, Chairman. County Council, I'm just following up a little bit on what the freeholder mentioned. Will this also be able to look at just some of how the state, or is it only going to focus on the federal? Will we be able to see a little bit of some of the initiatives coming out of the state, just to make sure that it's consistent with how the CARES Act is being implemented, because every day we're getting new definitions from DC. So just wondering, how will this be able to, will it be able to look at both?
Well, to the extent that any of this money would come through the state, I'm sure it would cover that, but we're primarily looking at the federal flow of funds and the federal regulations regarding this.
But I'm asking, would this be able, because for example, there's some funds that come into certain state departments and then they have the ability to delegate the money, or would we have to explore another consultant, or would this be possible for them to look at how the guidelines are provided by some of our state agencies? Because that's how this CARES Act is flowing, is going through some of our state agencies.
Right, but even that, if it's money that initially comes from the feds through the states and the states are relaying it to us, it would all be under the compliances of the federal regulations. To the extent the state may impose more, I'm sure this firm would be able to provide us with guidance and assistance on that. I mean, again, this is a very initial contract. To the extent we find it necessary to expand the services, we always have the ability to do that.
That's excellent, because it's very much needed right now. Thank you so much.
Yes, certainly.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder Garretson. Let me see if anyone else has anything. Nope. Bob, thank you. Appreciate it.
Welcome, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to the office of the County Manager, County Manager Oatman.
But even
Thank you, Chairman. Sorry about technical difficulties. I have 2 items on tonight's agenda. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Freeholders, any questions for the County Manager?
Nope.
Chairman?
Yes, Ed, I would like to know under number 2, hazardous duty pay, just what kind of budget you have set aside for that, or what you're thinking about it. I don't know if you know that now. I know it's something that just kind of popped up maybe in the last week from your office, but if you have an idea of who falls into those categories and what your expected expenditure would be, I think I'd be appreciative of that.
I don't have the exact number right now, Chairman, because a lot depends on how long COVID lasts. This agreement is it's good for the calendar year while we're dealing with the COVID crisis. Other counties and healthcare agencies are paying this hazardous duty pay to the EMTs. So to fill our shifts, we have to match it. But not knowing how long COVID is going to last for, it's hard to say what the actual price tag might be.
Okay, well, just on a regular rolling monthly basis, I'm sure you'll keep us up to date.
100%.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Ed. Appreciate that. Freeholder Hudak.
Thanks, Chairman. I just wanted to add that I appreciate that the county manager is looking at this, and as many of the people who are EMTs, this is many times a second job, and they're truly putting themselves in harm's ways for our residents. So and as the EMT has expanded in Union County, so is the liability in this crisis. So I appreciate that we're adding this in and compensating those frontline responders in our community. Thank you, Chair.
Good. Thank you, Freeholder, and thank you, County Manager. All right. It's a good way to exit the stage there, County Manager.
I was trying to hold it in.
Good job. All right. I don't see anything else from the Freeholder, Vice Chairman Estrada.
Right, but I just want to bring Joe Graziano back. He had some more information about the results in terms of how much money have we spent.
Okay.
Joe?
Thank you, Vice Chairman.
I have.
Hold on, Al, is that cleared or?
Yeah, perfectly fine. Go ahead, Joe.
Through you, Chairman. I have numbers on how much we've actually brought in, or an approximate of what we've brought into the quarry. For the last couple of years, we've brought in about $810,000. That's with leaves from the townships and also the sale of compost. I still don't have my 2019 numbers on, so once we get those finalized, I'll get them out to you as well.
Okay, Joe, thanks very much. That's a very helpful number.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thanks for that. And Vice Chairman, thanks for your question. All right, if there's nothing else, as this is a double meeting, I will ask if any freeholder would like to join or co-sponsor any of the freeholder sponsored agendas listed tonight. Anyone have anything? While people are looking at that, I really want to thank the vice chairman for adding the resolution for my uncle, Elizabeth firefighter Artie Schnarr, and Elizabeth fireman, and vice chairman. I appreciate you putting that on, and all the kind words around the county family and my friends and family for reaching out to me, at this time. And it's a shame. Was a terrific guy, and I'll miss him very much. So, but I appreciate that, Vice Chairman Estrada. Okay, anybody else have anything? All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Freeholder Williams and seconded by Freeholder Garretson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are adjourned the agenda meeting. We will take 1 minute and we'll jump right into the business meeting. Jimmy, you let me know when you're ready, because I think we're going to roll right into this thing. But let's, I want to make sure you give me the sign that you're ready from your perspective. And Robert, too.
Chairman, I'm ready when you are.
Okay, Robert, are we all set?
We're all set.
Okay. Well, let's start the regular meeting. At this time, I'll call this meeting to order of the Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders, a regular meeting, April 23rd, 2020. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Freeholder Garretson. Freeholder Granados.
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak.
Here.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Here.
Freeholder Palmeri Muted.
Here.
Freeholder Staton.
Here.
Freeholder Williams.
Here.
Vice Chairman Estrada.
Present.
Chairman Mirabella.
Present.
And Freeholder Garretson.
Here.
Chairman, you have 9 freeholders present.
Very good. Thank you. Clerk, please lead us in the prayer and a salute to the flag.
Humbly we ask God, the giver of peace and the lover of charity, to give the entire family of nations true agreement with his will, and to grant the light of his spirit on all who work for justice and peace. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Freeholders, if you can start your video. All right, great. A clerk of the board, please read the statement of compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act.
The chair wishes to announce that pursuant to the requirements of New Jersey Statutes Annotated, Title 10, Chapter 4, Section 10 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Union has been given by mailing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2020, along with periodic changes necessitated by circumstances, to the newspapers circulating within the County of Union who are designated to receive such notice, and by posting the annual meeting schedule for the year 2020 in the Administration Building, and further by filing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2020 with the Office of the County Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. May I have a motion to approve the communications?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Hudak and second by Freeholder Williams. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Freeholder Garretson.
Yes.
Freeholder Granados.
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak.
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Yeah.
Freeholder Palmeri Muted.
Aye.
Freeholder Staton.
Yes.
Freeholder Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Estrada.
Yes.
And Chairman Mirabella.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 9 votes in the affirmative on the communication.
Very good, thank you. Tonight we have two ordinances for introduction. Clerk of the board, please read the first ordinance by title.
Ordinance 813-2020, an ordinance to amend the laws of Union County Administrative Code and policies and general legislation by amending Part 1, the Union County Administrative Code, Chapter 1, Union County Government Structure, Article 3, Board of Chosen Freeholders, Section 1-13, Powers of the Board, and Article 23, Office of the County Council, Section 1-139, Functions and Responsibilities of the County Council.
Freeholder Williams, would you please move ordinance number 813-219 for first reading?
Yes, Chairman. I move ordinance 813-2019 for first reading and authorize the clerk of the board to advertise same in accordance with the law. A public hearing and final reading will be scheduled to be held on May 21st, 2020. So move.
Okay, may I have a second, please? Second by Freeholder Kowalski. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Freeholder Garretson,
Yes.
Freeholder Granados,
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak,
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski,
Yeah.
Freeholder Palmeri Muedad,
Aye.
Freeholder Staton,
Yes.
Freeholder Williams,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Estrada,
Yes.
and Chairman Mirabella.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 9 votes in the affirmative.
Very good. Mr. Clerk, please read the second ordinance by title.
Ordinance number 814-2020, an ordinance fixing the salary for county council.
Okay, I'll call on Freeholder Granados to move ordinance.
Thank you, Chairman. Move ordinance 814-2019 for first reading and authorize the clerk of the board to advertise the same in accordance with the law. The public hearing and final reading will be scheduled to be on May 21st, 2020.
Okay, may I have a second, please?
Second.
Freeholder Williams, seconded. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Freeholder Garretson,
Yes.
Freeholder Granados,
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak,
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski,
Yes.
Freeholder Palmeri Muedad,
Aye.
Freeholder Staton,
Yes.
Freeholder Williams,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Estrada,
Yes.
and Chairman Mirabella.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 9 votes in the affirmative.
Okay, very good. Prior to opening up the meeting for public comments, I'd like to offer a few comments relative to tonight's budget introduction. As expected, tonight, the Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders is set to introduce the 2020 budget with a 0% tax increase. I think the only freeholder, Vice Chairman and I, or maybe we're among the only freeholders on this current board to be able to see a 0 increase back when we first started. I do know that this board has made significant efforts the last 5 years to minimize whatever increases, and has done a terrific job. But tonight is great to be able to sit here and vote on a 0% tax increase. Knowing the impact that the COVID-19 epidemic is having on our residents and business owners, I instructed Fiscal Chairman Granados and the county manager to tighten the budget to deliver this 0% tax increase. This was not an easy task. The pressures that all governing agencies are under, but it was absolutely necessary. The 2020 budget maintains all essential services with no layoffs. With tonight's vote, we will continue our trend of fiscal responsibility. We will maintain the county's bond rating, which is the highest attainable at AAA. And with that, I would like to thank the Finance Director, Director Taylor, our County Manager, Ed Oatman, and Deputy County Manager, Amy Wagner, all the directors, all the county employees who made this possible. At this time, I'd like to now introduce the Freeholder Fiscal Chairman, Sergio Granados, who will say a couple words. Freeholder?
Thank you, Chairman Mirabella. As a 2020 chairman of the fiscal committee, I remember that when you first became chairman, we sat down and had a long discussion about lowering taxes to help our residents as much as possible. And now I am pleased to report we got it even lower. I have helped lead the review along with our fiscal committee of this year's proposed budget over the past few months, and we are ready to introduce it tonight. We know our residents and businesses have been hurt by the COVID-19 pandemic, and we are announcing a 0% increase in Union County's 2020 budget. This is the first 0% budget in nearly 20 years. We worked hard to build a budget that would fund the response, avoid layoffs, maintain essential services, and hold the bottom line. We're also maintaining our credit rating, which is the highest obtainable. The COVID-19 pandemic has created a tremendously difficult situation for our residents and all governing agencies. Unemployment has surged, revenue sources have been greatly diminished. While funding is needed to respond to the pandemic and assist our residents and business owners, our Union County COVID-19 Drive-Through Test Center is leading the state as the most effective and efficient test center. And for that, I want to thank Public Safety Director, Director Moran, the whole entire Public Safety Department, along with our County Manager Ed Oatman, Deputy County Manager Amy Wagner, for their lead services and making sure this truly is one of the most efficient locations possible. While we know there is a high cost associated with funding it, we made our highest priority to test as many of our residents as possible. During the next several months, we will receive sharply less or nothing from the county's top revenue sources, including our parks, golf courses, and sheriff sales. Even the fees we receive from the county clerk's office will be sharply less. At the same time, we have millions in expenses due to the COVID-19 emergency response. We had to take a number of steps to get down to zero. We implemented a county-wide hiring freeze that also applied to existing vacancies. We eliminated all funded vacancies, not including public safety, in the budget. We reviewed the budget line by line item for savings and asked department heads to make cutbacks. We used millions in funds from our surplus account, and due to the partial shutdown of our government services, we also saved money on certain operational expenses, including fuel and various items along those lines. The COVID-19 emergency has created a tremendous challenge, but I am pleased to report that we have a great county team and we all came together to meet our goal. In closing, I truly do want to thank my colleagues on the Freeholder Fiscal Committee who truly stepped up and worked long nights, weekends, in making sure we worked alongside our county manager, deputy county manager, and most importantly, our finance director, BB Taylor, and her staff in making sure we got to 0%. So once again, I want to thank everybody, our Freeholder colleagues who put their input and made sure that we all came together as a team, and all the county employees who continue to come to work and service the public throughout this emergency. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Granados. I appreciate all your help, and the Finance Committee did a terrific job throughout this budget process. Before we suspend the rules to allow for public comment, I am going to backtrack a little bit and ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the March 5th, 2020 meetings, agenda and regular meeting, the March 18th special meeting, and the March 26th agenda and regular meeting. May I have a motion, please, for those?
So moved.
Freeholder Hudak moves. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Freeholder Muedad seconded. And Jimmy, please call the roll on that.
Freeholder Garretson,
Yes on all, abstain on March 8th.
Freeholder Granados,
At all.
Freeholder Hudak,
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski,
Yeah.
Freeholder Palmeri Muedad,
Aye to all.
Freeholder Staton,
Yes to all, please.
Freeholder Williams,
Aye to all.
Vice Chairman Estrada,
Yes to all.
and Chairman Mirabella.
Aye to all.
Chairman, you have 9 votes in the affirmative for all minutes.
You,
The Wednesday, March 18th special meeting, 8 votes in the affirmative with 1 abstention.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you, Freeholders. May I have a motion to suspend the rules to allow for the joining of both the public comment on resolutions being offered for adoption and the public comment for any governmental issues that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of Union County, as to one public comment section. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Williams, seconded by Freeholder Staton. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, Freeholder Garretson,
Yes.
Freeholder Granados,
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak,
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski,
Yes.
Freeholder Palmeri Muedad,
Aye.
Freeholder Staton,
Yes.
Freeholder Williams,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Estrada,
Yes.
and Chairman Mirabella.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 9 votes in the affirmative to suspend the rules.
Okay, the meeting is now open to the public for purpose of commenting on resolutions being offered for adoption and/or any governmental issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the county. We are going to start with those comments, Jimmy, that were received in writing ahead of time, and then we will go to opening up to the public people who have registered to make comment. So if you can go through those comments that were received via email first, and then we will open it up one by one to the members of the public who wish to.
Certainly, Freeholder Chairman. Received an email from a Gregory Vartan, Councilman of Summit. Dear Freeholders, as the coronavirus health crisis continues, I write to express the sincere gratitude of the people of the city of Summit. We are thankful for your leadership in establishing New Jersey's first county-run testing site, clear communication, and continued fiscal restraint. Over the last several years, Summit's Common Council has created municipal budgets that reflect the values of innovation, transparency, efficiency, and fiscal responsibility. We believe that we must maintain and expand excellent government services while keeping the community affordable. As the chair of the Summit Common Council's Finance Committee, I thank you for amending the budget to keep spending flat while continuing to employ all staff. Summit residents can feel proud that our county government shares our values. Thank you again, Councilman Greg Varshan.
Great.
Another email from an individual by the name of Brenda Moyd. The email had a subject title line as "Please add Brenda Moyd to the list." I did reach out to her a number of times. Unfortunately, I did not get a response back. I imagine she wanted to participate in tonight's meeting. I received another email from an individual with the name Linden. The comment is, something must be done to dramatically reduce property taxes in New Jersey. Property taxes keep going up, and in some municipalities are higher than the homeowner's monthly mortgage payments. When will it end? That was her comment. In addition to, she did request a password for the budget meeting today, for the Freeholder meeting today, and I did not receive a response back from that email. I received another email from a Nixon Alou who indicated that he just wanted to attend. Hello, James. I just want to be in attendance and not necessarily ask questions at this time. Is that allowed? Thank you. His comments, I ended up talking to him, and he was going to view the Freeholder meeting via our county website. I did receive a email with comments from a Mr. Bruce Patterson. However, I do see he is in the queue as a participant. I will hold on to these in the event that there is any audio issues with Mr. Patterson's participation in tonight's meeting. That is all, Chairman.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I'll start by opening this next section up to those who are joining via Zoom webinar. For anyone wishing to speak, please note that there's a 5-minute time limit, and the timer will be displayed on our live stream indicating green. At the 4-minute mark, the timer will turn to yellow, and then red when the comments period for you is over. We will move to the first person in the queue, Robert or Jimmy. I don't see where that is right now. So if you want to call them and open it up for the first person, that would be terrific.
The first individual that is on our queue is a Mr. Bruce Patterson. So if Robert would be able to unmute Mr. Patterson, for his participation. Thank you, Robert.
Mr. Patterson is unmuted.
Okay, Mr. Patterson, do you have comments you want to share with the county freeholders? Perhaps there's an issue with Mr. Patterson's ability to join the meeting.
Very well. Chairman, if you would like, I'll read his comments into the record.
Yeah, let's go on to the other participants that are trying to call in, and then we'll circle back with Mr. Patterson.
I see a Mr. Matt Kadosh. Sure if he wants to participate in the freeholder meeting or if he was just viewing it.
Okay, let's unmute Mr. Kahosh and see if he wants to comment.
I'm just muting here, but thanks, guys.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Kadosh. Thanks for joining us. Who's next?
The third and final would be a Mr. Paul Payton.
Oh, Mr. Payton from the Westfield and Scotch Plains Family Times. He very rarely approaches the microphone. I'd be surprised if he has comments. He's probably just listening. But Mr. Payton, do you have any comments? If he could be unmuted.
Seems to be a problem.
All right, Robert, I see he's still muted. I don't imagine he has comments, knowing Mr. Payton for 20 years, but.
He is unmuted at the moment. He just has to hit the button to unmute his phone as well.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Hey, how are you? Yeah, I just had one question. Could you just go into a little more detail on the total spending for the budget and the total amount to be raised in taxation and about how much money was used in surplus?
Yeah, sure. Let's move that over to Director Taylor. Can we have Director Taylor address that?
Through you, Chairman. The amount that we are raising in the budget is $614,918,699. Of that amount, $367,295,299 is coming from taxes, which is the same amount from 2019. And as you know, our revenue and our appropriation schedule have to equal. Of that amount that we are raising in the budget, we are utilizing $53,290,931 from surplus.
All right, Paul, if you have anything else, you know where to reach us, and we'll be happy to, give you the information you need for whatever.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Paul. Let's go back to Mr. Patterson. I believe Paul was the third of three. We'll go circle back to Mr. Patterson if can you unmute him and see if he can join us?
Mr. Chairman, I received an email from Mr. Patterson asking me to read in his comments.
Okay, very good.
To participate tonight via our Zoom meeting, okay?
That's fine. Go ahead and please do that.
Okay. Keep in mind the numbers that I state are reflective of an agenda that was posted last night. So some of the numbers may be off by one digit due to pulling of one resolution earlier today. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board. This is Bruce Patterson, Garwood, New Jersey. Page 1 at the bottom, Reso 2020-322. Please explain what is exceed county tax levy cap, and if we are exceeding it, by how much and why. Page 2 at the top, Reso 2020-335. This is the budget introduction. And as a county taxpayer, I want to commend you for adjusting the original $7 million increase and making it a zero tax impact, possibly the first ever for our county. This still leaves you probably $70 million in the budget as surplus to mitigate what repercussions may come from this pandemic. Since 2016, I had explained the forensics and how it could be achieved. I appreciate you following up on my instructions. One question, will we find that distinct towns, county taxes will still go up or down according to their calculated equalized value, or are we zeroing everything out? Page 2 in the middle, Reso 2020-339, resolution, but no cost determined yet. This is increasing the number of shelters, adding 6 hotels and motels to accommodate possible influx of homeless from the pandemic. This is sad commentary of our times, unfortunately. Page 2 in the middle, Reso 2020-340. This is a resolution giving $100,000 to Kenilworth Inn for 1 month use of rooms to accommodate residents and first responders, quoting from the agenda, quote, that must leave their home for purpose of quarantine due to exposure to COVID, unquote. This needs explanation since it sounds like you are sequestering a huge amount of COVID infected people in one place, yet we find you may not be doing any major medical oversight, mobilization, or coordination in such a contagious situation as found in Javits Center or the New York First Aid Ship. In fact, this taxpayer money should be saved since you could easily use the empty Kane University dorm rooms or even empty the juvenile detention center, not even 10 years old. Question, how many people are forecasted? How many of our county employees have been tested positive for COVID? This question relates to the resolution I indicated was pulled earlier today. Page 3 in the middle, Reso 2020-345. First, a comment to $249,000 to Maffey Locksmiths for 2 years for county locks. This is certainly a wow number, way expensive. How was this number worked up? Page 4 at the bottom, Reso 2020-353. This adds 4.139 million. Sounds like the Fed stimulus money. If not already done in the agenda setting meeting, could someone explain how this will work in being distributed? Page 4 near the bottom, Reso 2020-354. This extends a lease agreement by 5 years to Alfieri 342 Westminster Associates and gives them nearly $8 million. Please explain how many floors are dedicated to social services, or is this the whole building? Also, is the county doing a study since paying rent over 1.5 million a year sounds like taxpayers off? Please allow my concerns. Page 5 at the top, Reso 2020-356. Although no dollar amount was given, please explain about how much is being distributed, in what way for hazardous duty pay, and how and who will those ones be eligible? Also, specifically, who will be the ones monitoring those certain people to avoid salary padding being taken advantage? One last question, is this a stipend or part of their pensionable monies? That is the end of his questions.
All right, very good. Let's start by answering some of these questions. We'll talk to bring up Director Taylor for the tax levy and the introduction question.
Through you, Chairman. The title itself is prescribed by the state. It does not necessarily, as in this case, we are not exceeding the levy. We have a 0% levy this year. And the cap that we are banking can only be added to the extent needed to support the budget. As I mentioned, we do not have an increase. So as a result, we are not including any amounts authorized by this resolution. It is intended as a financial planning tool that we can utilize in prospective years if needed. It's important to note that for over the past number of years, we have not utilized the cap bank.
Okay. And I appreciate the comment of the praise on the 0% increase. I will tell you though, the impact to the different townships will be varying. Some will go up and some may go down. Depends on valuation. We send our information over to the tax board and they come back to us with the impact to the different municipalities. So that's not necessarily a zero impact for every town. although the overall county budget is a 0 increase. Director Anderson, can you talk about the question on the shelters?
Sure, through you, Chairman. So for the shelters, with the no monies determined because the TANF, GA, and emergency assistance recipients, the state pays for the hotel rates. And these 6 hotels that are added to the list have agreed to reimburse the county 100% of what the cost of the hotel rooms are. So that's where it's per person, per reimbursement.
Okay. All right, very good. County Manager Oatman, can you speak to the Kenilworth Inn question, or at least direct it to who could answer it best?
What was that, Chairman? The Kenilworth Inn question?
Yeah.
That's probably better for Debbie Ann.
Okay, Debbie Ann, was that part of the last question that you just asked, or was this an addition?
I believe it was, Chairman.
Okay. All right, very good. And then, Ed, there was one on the locksmiths. I know it kind of came up during the other meeting, but is there any commentary necessary for that?
I'll defer to Director Graziano, but that is a extension of the existing contract that goes out to bid. I don't know if Director Graziano has anything else he wants to add to that.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I think the question from the gentleman was, how's that number? How do we get that number? We do it based on the history of the past contracts. And again, like I said earlier, the contracts before this one were $100,000 more. When I went out to bid these last times, I dropped it down $100,000, and then we will investigate the amount we spend over the next 2 years. And then when it goes out to bid again, we will definitely lower the amount of hours that are needed on this contract. If at that time we don't spend as much of the $249,000 that will possibly be voted on tonight.
Okay, and there was one other on the Westminster.
Westminster's for Council Barry.
All right, County Council, any update for this question?
Thank you.
Am I on?
Yes.
Yes?
Yep.
I'm sorry, Jimmy, what's the question on 342 Westminster?
Okay, County Chairman and County Councilor, for the Westminster question was,
Oh, I see it. I see it.
This is 354, Bob.
right, it says this extends the lease agreement by 5 years to the Alferi 342 Westminster Associates and gives them nearly 8 million. Please explain how many
Yes,
floors.
I got it.
So you got it?
Yep, I got it. Yes, it's the entire building. And as has been mentioned in a number of public meetings already, the county is obviously looking at consolidating space and the options that it has available to it in that regard.
Okay. All right, very good. The last question had to do with the hazardous pay. The county manager explained that the one part of it that perhaps wasn't clear or explained, and I imagine it's a stipend, but Ed, can you verify that it's a stipend versus part of a pensionable increase?
Sure, it is a stipend, so it's not pensionable. The Department of Public Safety will be in charge of managing this process. And for the earlier question, we have $50,000 budgeted from now to the end of the year for this program.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, I think that handles the public comment at this point. I'll close this portion of the meeting. May I have a motion to adopt the resolutions 2020-331 through 2020-362?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Granados. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Freeholder Hudak. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Good job, Freeholders, getting your video back up and running.
Certainly, Chairman, before I make the roll call, this is for resolutions 331 through 363.
363, okay.
Right.
363 Freeholders.
With that being said, Freeholder Garretson,
Yes.
Freeholder Granados,
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak,
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski,
Yeah.
Freeholder Palmeri Muedad,
Aye.
Freeholder Staton,
Yes.
Freeholder Williams,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Estrada,
Yes.
Chairman Mirabella.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 9 votes in the affirmative on the resolutions.
Okay, very good. Well, we will go on to freeholder reports and comments. And I will start with Freeholder Muedad.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. The COVID-19 outbreak has created new challenges for hundreds of Union County residents who live with mental illness, and for many others who are experiencing stress and anxiety and other impacts of this virus that they may have not expected, especially being confined to your home and what have you. We're all in this together, and some of us may really need some help during this crisis. So I, on behalf of the board, would like to extend my thanks to all of the mental health professionals and volunteers who have been reaching out to help people in Union County during this crisis. I would also like to remind everyone that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. This year's theme is Tools to Thrive, to raise awareness about practical tools that everyone can use. You can find out more and how to get involved by visiting the Association for Mental Health and Wellness at mhaw.org. Also, if you need any help or assistance in terms of mental health and wellness, you can always log on to the county website and ask for some assistance. I know this is just unprecedented for all of us, and the stresses and anxiety that we're all facing is more than we've probably ever faced before. So I am thinking of everyone. I want to remind everyone to continue practicing social distance. It is making a difference and an impact. Shout out to all the parents at home that are teaching their children, and to the teachers for offering what they're doing online. And with that, I will end my comments. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Freeholder Muedad. Freeholder Staton.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining our virtual meeting this evening. I would like to start off by first extending my heartfelt sympathy to all the Union County families who have lost loved ones during this pandemic. It's too many to name, but just know that you are always in our thoughts and prayers. And for the people that are fighting this virus, to keep fighting, don't give up. You know, it's very important to stay strong, and for the families to stay strong, and for us to all support one another. So with that being said, just remember to practice social distancing, wash your hands, and stay safe. Wear your face mask also. That's very important. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Freeholder. Appreciate that. Freeholder Granados.
Thank you, Chairman. Just want to start off by thanking Finance Director B.B. Taylor and her staff once again for their tremendous leadership, working with our county manager and deputy county manager, and helping this Freeholder board come to a 0% budget for this year. But also when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic that's affecting so many people, not only in our country, but around the world, now more than ever, we need to stick together. And as we see through so many different efforts of people, volunteerism is truly showing, whether it be donating food to first responders, let it be, people who are donating masks and gloves to helping out others. It truly is showing the will of our Union County community in coming together and helping others. So with that said, I truly just want to say thank you to everyone who's donated their time, who's volunteered, who's given back. You truly are our unsung heroes, and we want to thank you for that, along with all the doctors, medical professionals, and first responders who continue to be on the forefront in leading the way during this pandemic and helping out lowering the curve. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder. Let's go to Freeholder Williams.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a couple of comments. I echo my colleagues in expressing my condolences to all those who have passed and urging safety to everyone. I just have one note. This past Friday, I was invited to the Township of Union to represent the Freeholder board on a Facebook Live town hall meeting hosted by Mayor Dellisfort and with Senator Cryan. And we updated the residents of Union about our testing center, urging folks, if they have symptoms, to call the telehealth number to be assessed and then to come in after making an appointment. Senator Cryan updated all of the residents on pending legislation and legislation that had been passed in both houses relating to COVID-19 that would be signed by the governor. And of course, the mayor updated the residents along with the Union Township Health Officer about the COVID-19 pandemic issues in the Township of Union. It was a great opportunity for me to acknowledge the hard work that was being done by all of our first responders, frontline healthcare workers, and the County of Union staff with our county manager, Ed Oatman, and Deputy County Manager Amy Wagner, Director Debbie Ann Anderson, Chief Debbie, and too many names, I guess. So I just wanted to, again, acknowledge that this is a wonderful opportunity for all of us, if we are invited, to go into the townships and to participate and let the residents of all of the townships and other municipalities in our county know that we are indeed, as our logo states, we are here for them. Thank you, Chairman. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Freeholder Williams. I appreciate that. And thanks for representing the board so well in Union. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Freeholder Hudak.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to make a few brief comments. First, to welcome everyone who's watching us this evening via Zoom on Facebook and those who are participating digitally. I'm glad the staff was able to get this together. Much credit is owed to the clerk of the board, Jim Pelletier, and Robert Kowalski, who have done a really excellent job producing the feed tonight. So I wanted to extend credit to them because credit is certainly due. In regard to the budget, there was, not too long ago, some criticism towards the board in terms of how we were managing the budget, in terms of, keeping, any increases at a very responsible level, but at the same time managing our surpluses in a very effective way, which on one hand gave us the ability to leverage that for a good bond rating, the ability to borrow funds, but at the same time, the one thing, I know I made the comment, I know Director Taylor made the comment, I know many other freeholders have made the comment that a rainy day fund is just that. We want to be prepared in case of the unforeseeable should happen. And, it was my opinion, and I'm sure the opinion of many others, that the amount of surplus we were able to amass since the Great Recession, where we got down to zero, gave us a pretty big umbrella. Well, it's raining, and it's raining pretty hard, and I'm glad under his leadership, Chairman Granados of our fiscal committee was able to get us together and work with the directors, and this is a really good direction for us to go to in this time. So I want to extend my credit to his leadership, and I know we'll hear more about the budget as we do final adoption in a couple weeks, but I'm really proud of the staff for able to step up and make this a reality, because the Union County taxpayers are really going to be hit hard in the next few years, and that's evident not just because of the lack of fees and revenue opportunities that are happening right now, but also because we're really hearing bad things from the Trump administration, from the Congress, that there's going to be really an attempt to limit funding opportunities for northeastern states who have been hit terribly and cataclysmically in this crisis. So I also appreciate the efforts of our legislative delegation, pushing for our interests. But the more we can do to help people save, the better. I'm also very happy, and I did talk to the county manager earlier today and confirmed it. The infrastructure grants are still a part of this budget, and as well as we do have an opportunity through the Kids Rec and Kids Recreation Trust Fund that the municipalities that started this year thinking they were going to have the opportunity to pave roads, fix sidewalks, and things like that. I know the county manager and his staff reached out to some of the VAs throughout the county to determine whether or not that was even viable for them in the current environment. And it looks like they'll be able to do projects, and we're happy to provide that funding. So I'm glad to see that is in the budget as well. And again, I want to extend my thanks to our first responders, our county staff, and everyone who is at home, doing the right thing, maintaining social distance, and keeping our community safe. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder. Appreciate that. Freeholder Kowalski.
Thank you, Chairman. I also offer my condolences to all the families who have lost people during this difficult time, and urge everyone to do everything they can to stay healthy. I also would like to thank the flag groups, especially our Cranford Frontline Appreciation Group, who provided lunch to the people at our testing site several times early on after we established the site. And this Wischusen family also, in addition to Nurse Wischusen, Mr. Wischusen was there, and they're a well-known Cranford name. I appreciate their contributions, as well as my mayor, Patrick Giblin, and Deputy Mayor Kathleen Prunty have been providing local updates to residents in my town, making extra efforts. As I know, mayors in all the towns are making extra efforts now. We've been communicating on our daily county calls, and so thanks to all participate in that. At the federal level, our representatives really have been standing up for us in New Jersey. We know that Governor Murphy is doing all he can, and working with Senators Booker and Menendez. Senator Menendez has made the great efforts to get more aid for New Jersey. And Congressman Malinowski speaking up about small businesses. We want to make sure that New Jersey is not ignored as this process moves forward. And of course, I thank all of our county manager, deputy county manager, all the directors. And let me also do a shout out. We heard Freeholder Hudak's children in the background, and I know parents and teachers are challenged now, and I want to thank the parents and teachers for the special efforts that you are making to make sure that our young people are educated and taken care of. So thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder. I know that Freeholder Garretson's having a little trouble getting in. I know Robert is working on that. So we'll move to Vice Chairman Estrada. To come off mute, Vice Chairman.
Yeah, I was waiting for that, but I was waiting for Sergio. He usually goes before I do, so.
Oh, did Sergio go already?
It's all right, no problems. I'm ready to speak anytime.
We're opening the door for you, Vice Chairman. Okay.
Thank you. Earlier I gave Sergio a lot of kudos about the budget, and well-deserved, but I also failed to mention everybody else associated with the budget, which is practically everybody in our county. But I want to highlight Amy's role, even Amy's and Ed and Bibi Taylor, who I think I called her a cutter. I guess she cuts, but in actuality, it is great to have somebody who's very knowledgeable and at the same time utilizes undue pressure to ensure that we head the right direction. That's nicely putting it. But anyway, you know, it's been a very difficult time for the families in Union County, which as of today, we had lost 515 of our residents to the coronavirus. And we think of their contribution of those individuals who are no longer with us. And we hope and pray that under this circumstance, which is so difficult, that many of the family members never had an opportunity in most cases to speak to these individuals, which makes the process even the grieving process more difficult. So our prayers go out to you and your families who are encouraging this. We need to understand that at the time we have still 99,989 cases in the state, which is a substantial number. We really, and what we're doing is so important in terms of being able to determine as to who are those individuals who have tested positive. And there is a significant amount of numbers of other people who have not been tested because they may be asymptomatic to this virus. But I think our work is cut out for us in the future and will continue. I also want to take the time also to recognize that, that when we speak about the senators, we usually neglect to mention the assembly people, the Quijano, Holly, Carter, Kennedy, Bramnick, and Munoz, who are also part of this, our county, and who are making strides in Trenton to ensure that our people are well represented. And I thank them. At the same time, every single mayor of our 21 municipalities who step up. And I know that my mayor in Elizabeth, Mayor Bowich, is consistently going out there to make sure that that number one, that the people are well treated, and that the fact is that the challenges that we have are handled by the authorities locally. I know that we have plenty of the first line responders who have been exposed, and there is no doubt that if we all work together, all of these things can be achieved. But on a lighter note, I must say that today the U.S. News and World Report came out with their list of top schools, and again, Union County vocational schools rated 8th, 9th, and 10th for the state. 8th, which Al and I share, AIT, this year became the 8th. Magna School became 9th, and then Allied Health became 10th. And it goes to prove to you that the decision that was made over 21 years ago has worked and continues to work on a yearly basis. So I'm happy to see that. I know that they're all working remote, but in the same token of the commitment of the people, of all these teachers, all the staff that supports these individuals on a daily basis. And you know, I just want to mention one group or a couple of groups that don't get as much attention. One is the corrections officers who are in essence in our corrections system, who keep us safe and at the same time have to work under very difficult circumstances. And I just didn't want to highlight somebody, but I don't hear their names mentioned all the time. And I think that they're well deserving, as well as all the nurses and everyone else, our sheriff's department, our prosecutor's office, and throughout the county. They have been doing an excellent job. And I'll tell you, it's when you see it, you know firsthand how important this family works. But anyway, I'll leave my comments there, and I'll let my buddy Sergio, I guess, if he's next, to go ahead and undertake that process. Thank you.
Very good, Vice Chairman. Thank you. Freeholder Granados, did I skip you?
I think Vice Chairman wants me to speak again. So once again, Vice Chair, thank you for your leadership along with the chairman and everything you guys are doing.
Very good.
I close my comments, Chairman. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I know that we have a way, I guess, to get Freeholder Garretson to give her comments. Can we ask the Freeholder to give her comments?
Chairman, this is Jim Pelletieri. I've been speaking with Freeholder Garretson, and she had asked me to read in.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, there you go. Yes, we can.
Yes, you can? Okay, perfect. I just wanted to thank everyone for an incredible job with the Finance Committee. Thank you so much for making sure we came in with a zero budget. But tonight, I wanted to also say to everyone, I hope everyone's staying healthy and safe and continue to pray for so many families and friends impacted by COVID during this public health crisis. Yesterday, Governor Murphy signed legislation releasing racial and demographic data regarding the COVID testing, attempted treatment, hospitalizations, and deaths. This law will not only help our county gain information regarding all populations, including our minority populations, our Black and Brown folks, but it will also help us understand how our numbers are compared to up to 21 counties throughout the state. I'd also like to say that tomorrow at 10 a.m., the Minority Committee will be convening, and we have 3 agenda topics. We'll be talking about COVID, of course, the census, and the county needs assessment. I look forward to working with all my colleagues, but also just extending again a thank you to so many workers out there every day that are from the DPW workers to the folks that have to come in as essential workers, the grocery individuals who have to come in every day and make sure that our society, our county, that we're still able to operate. So those are my comments for this evening. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Freeholder. For me, just a couple of quick comments. One is, I get an opportunity, and I think all freeholders have had the opportunity to go over to the testing site at Kane University. I recently had a chance to check in with President Farahi and, thanked him for the use of that site over now going into the second month. And I'm just continuously impressed with the level of professionalism, with the volunteerism, with the county staff coming together, our first responders, our medical staff, the National Guard is there, Vicky Drake helping make sure everybody's comfortable there with, some sandwiches, something to eat during the day. It's really a terrific effort, and I'm just proud to be associated with that whole effort. And it starts with the county manager and goes down to everyone who's working at that site. And people lose sight of the fact that people are working 6 and 7 days a week from morning to night. And that's what we do when there's emergencies in Union County. We step up and we work hard and we do what we can. I mean, we are testing hundreds and hundreds of people. You saw, I mentioned we were over 10,500 tests already administered. And, I'm amazed at that whole joint effort that comes together on a daily basis to make that happen. And I couldn't be more proud of that. I mentioned very briefly also that we're not going to be lured into this false sense of security in Union County by opening anything too early. I know there's an urgency. I know people are, want to get back to the normalcy, but if we go too soon and we do this in too fast a way before we're fully ready to do that opening up, it's going to prolong this whole pandemic, and nobody wants to see that. If we stay committed to staying at home, staying safe, practicing our social distancing, wearing face masks and gloves when you have to go out into public, we'll get over this hump and move forward. Nobody wants to get back to business as usual as I do, but we're not going to be lured into this false sense of security, which I'm hearing some states are pushing for. I trust our leadership at the county level and the state level, and we'll take the guidance and we'll keep moving forward with that. Okay. All right, that concludes my comments at this time. Can I ask for a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Freeholder Hudak. Can I have a second? Freeholder Mudet. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, Robert. We are going to close this meeting, and we have the need to go into a special meeting, which we will then open up and go right into an executive session. So I know there's a separate number for that. And Robert or Jimmy, is that a protocol of ending this meeting and we'll start the next meeting? Is that right?
That is correct, Chairman. We're going to be ending this meeting. This meeting has been adjourned. Just give us a few moments and then we'll all sign in for the special meeting. The special meeting will be viewable to all the public by going to the county's official website and Facebook page, and they'll be able to watch and view our enter into that special meeting. The singular purpose for this special meeting would to be go into an executive session. So there will be no action taken and no public participation per se. So when we do go into that meeting, the video will cut off for us to enter into executive session. We'll come back and then the video will then become live stream again to show the vote to return to the meeting and then a vote to adjourn the meeting. So with that said, everyone can adjourn.
So we're going to close this meeting, and why don't we give about 5 minutes for everybody to get a little comfort break and get a drink of water or whatever. And then why don't we say, if it's 6:48 right now, 6:55. Is that okay for everybody? We'll sign back into the second meeting and we'll get ready to go at 6:55. Okay? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Great.